We'll sip our worries away, nice and slow. Your laughter ripples like sweet warm wine. In this jazzy sultry space you're mine. The saxophone croons a velvet tune, while melodies dance beneath the moon. We'll toast to moments both grand and small, in this hazy, lazy, jazz-touched hall. Let's sit together in the mellow night. We'll drink to love till the morning light. Every glass we raise a promise true. Here's to the magic in a drink with you. Your eyes, they sparkle with every click. Sweet rendezvous over a simple drink. We'll share our secrets in whispers low, just you and me where the jazz flows slow. The world outside fades into the mist, but here it's our own dreamy tryst. With each sip our worries drift away. Let's stay together till the break of day. So let's sit together in the mellow night. We'll drink to love till the morning light. Every glass we raise a promise true. Here's to the magic in a drink with you.
The following live stream has been approved for appropriate audiences. It may contain occasional strong language and may not be suitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer inebriation is advised, though not mandatory.
What we've all known for a long time is now official. With the announcement that there will be no Star Trek IV from Bad Robot, the failed experiment that was the JJ Abrams-led reboot of Star Trek is finished. We'll look back on this era from both reasoned dispassion and honest bias. Top off your glasses, get comfortable, and strap in. We're taking this Canarble wagon to warp speed right now.
Last Call is streamed before a live audience.
That's what happens when we go live, man. We go live. That's okay, because I haven't brought you into the studio, so nobody else can hear you. I'm just talking to myself as far as they're all concerned. Welcome, happy Friday. Welcome to Last Call with Troy Pacelli and Agent Boomer and Netters Network, and of course, all of you. You guys all know what I'm sipping on tonight. If you watched Liquid Lunch today, you didn't have to be there live, of course, but you could always go back and find out what I'm sipping on. Hold on just a second here. Yep, 2 of those and I will be mumbling. Anyway, I want to say hi to every single one of you. I'm going to need that because this is going to be one heck of a topic today. I want to start out, before I get any further, I'm hoping she's still here so that I can so that I can try to express my true gratitude to Ruby Hoove, who comes in and drops a gifted membership because she is such a wonderful supporter and so generous. That went to Anna's Gameland. Go check out Anna's channel. I've co-hosted with her a number of times. She's an absolute delight. If you're into gaming, you will certainly like what she does over there. Go check her out. But before we start getting into all the rest of you guys, I appreciate every single one of you, but I want to get my panel in here so that they can actually feel free to just speak up, right? I'm going to start out with my co-pilot, Chatty Cathy here. Agent Boomer, looking a little angry and upset there, my friend, for someone who's supposed to be rational and dispassionate.
Oh, please. Don't get me started on that with this series. What?
Con!
I think in Star Trek Beyond, he's even laughing or smiling at some scene. That's not Spock, dude. It's not.
We'll get into it.
We'll get into it. I'm just saying. I'm just having
Absolutely.
water tonight. I have to get up in the morning.
And you might have to, drive me home afterwards, designated.
Frankly, I should be drinking a root beer because isn't that the official soft drink of the Federation, according to Deep Space Nine?
According to, yes, that's absolutely true. And very interestingly, you feed root beer to tribbles, and you can generate a new breed. There's a whole mechanics for tribble genetics in Star Trek Online. It's kind of a fun, sub game, collect them all kind of a deal.
I don't know if I can look at that Spock face all evening. I might have to change it back.
I can totally understand.
Yeah,
look,
I think I'm changing.
I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's hold off on that. Let's get Netter in here. Netter, my dear, the girl that I met at a Star Trek convention. How you doing? And what are you sipping on tonight?
I think I have a cold because I'm a little stuffy, a different type of stuffy than I've been. And as a result, my throat's just a little bit sore. So I am drinking tea with honey, lemon, and ginger.
There you go. Go.
I just did that video on that.
Which is just perfect.
Yes. And
you would rather be cutting your lawn than looking at Spock screaming. Is that what you're saying, Agent?
Just from this angle, that almost looks like Patrick Stewart's Picard. Maybe he's mowing the lawn around the vineyard. It would be a hovercraft mower, though, in the future, right? It would be extra complicated for no good reason.
Exactly right. Oh gosh, let's say hi to everybody. Starting with Geek Flag with Nate Knows. He says like, share, subscribe, comment, become a member, and if you were going to give a super chat. Of $5 or more, why don't you consider giving a gifted membership instead and make our family grow?
Amen.
Absolutely. That is a wonderful thought. And I'm thinking that... Ruby, did you give me another one, or did this go up on Netter's channel? Or did I have it the other way round?
On yours, you have... Oh, no, you have a second one.
That is
Caveat Ties.
So sweet of you. Caveat Ties. A bit of a lurker around the channels. Previous channel member. Welcome back. Thank you again, Ruby, for doubling up on me tonight. I super appreciate that. She really is trying to help me reach that 100 members by the end of the year. Just hope that I do a good enough job to merit these gifted memberships re-upping. I hope they enjoy what I do here. I talk about them in third person because I don't think either one of them is physically here right now to hear me, but maybe they'll hear me on a replay in the future. Someone who was here this afternoon, can't be here tonight because she's got mod duties, is Lynn Green, giving a drive-by wish I could be here, but my mod shift starts in 8 minutes, totally understand. And she said that 20 minutes ago, so what are you going to do? What do we got? We got Nate also dropping a gifted membership. Wow, you guys are generous tonight. That one went to Rosefire. Welcome back to membership Rosefire. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Flag with Nate Knows for that as well. Man, you guys are so generous tonight. I super appreciate you guys. Connie Cleary, Bird Woman. Speaking of mod duties, Connie Cleary is often doing multiple shows at one time. Thank you so much for being here, Connie Cleary, the Bird Woman of YouTube, Fluff Chick Productions. Of course, that beautiful woman sitting directly across from me, the love of my life, Netters Network. Aged Boomer. He's got whiskey and he's loosening his tie and he's trimming the lawn and he's saying howdy. Mark Daly says, greetings from the panhandle of Florida, a.k.a. South Georgia. He's a Florida man. Big Al presents Films with Friends Raid. Have a great show. Yes, Cujo. Oh, that's a rough... And I didn't realize I was actually making your joke, the pun. I didn't mean to do that.
So, instead of watching Beethoven this Thanksgiving, watch Cujo.
Maybe. JPRPH1, welcome, my friend. Good to see you. Let's see. Sir Torrent Clegane, good evening, everyone. Welcome. Sashi, the voice from the future. Good to see you, my friend. Gorilla's Random Thoughts. After watching Soldiers of the Empire and Once Upon the Breach, we need more Klingon songs. There are a lot of, I guess you'd call them non-canon Klingon songs. I have albums of them. Look into the band Il Troubadour. They've done a number of Klingon songs of their own. You can also check out the Klingon Pop Warrior here on YouTube. She does translations of popular songs, turning them into Klingon. She is listed in the Disney archives with credit for the official Klingon translation of the song from Frozen. What's it called?
Let It Go.
Is it Let It Go? No, wait
Build a Snowman? I want to build a snowman.
No, it's definitely not Build a Snowman.
Let It Go.
Yes, Let It Go in Klingon. Hey,
yes. Is she going to do Golden from K-pop Demon Hunters in Klingon? That's probably on her roster, right?
It should be. It absolutely should be.
Well, it's like, I think you've gotten past this point and you may not have seen it, but I want to congratulate Jesse Guajardo on getting a new job. Woohoo!
Congratulations, Jesse. Good for you. And Mark Daly must like our opening song, Here's to the Magic in a Drink with You. Absolutely. Salute to Deleted Scenes. Welcome, my friend. Jonathan Conroy says, hail all and smash the like button and enjoy the show. Yes, I do hope you do that. Let's see here.
Sasha says, I just got done with The Last Samurai Standing on Netflix. It's the Japanese Running Man in this sense.
I suppose you're right. Let's see here. Yes, Films with Friends Raid. Thank you so much, guys. Guys saying hi to each other. Sergeant Giratina, welcome. Good to see you, my friend. A lot of back and forth between you guys. Love to see it. Love to see you guys engaging with each other. Like, share, subscribe, become a member, leave a comment, gift a membership. Thank you. Do all those clicky things. Daniel Barry Sports Highlights says, cheers. Welcome, my friend. Salute. Culture Casino is out of the hospital and is at home as per Toxic Man Flu. I didn't know he was in the hospital. What the hell happened? Holy crap, somebody fill me in. What is this crap? I am way behind. Way behind.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't hear anything about that either. But on good news, Sir Torrance says that they also got new jobs. Congratulations.
Good. Woo! I'd be happier if this meant a return to the original time. Well, hold on to that. We're going to get into this. We'll get there. Don't you let not your heart be troubled.
My heart's already troubled. I'm getting tired of this multiverse nonsense. But go ahead,
Captain. The antimatter injectors are in balance, and you keep her at this speed, she's gonna fly apart. Yeah, I can't do a good Scottish accent. Don't try, Netter. Don't. We need a deep male brogue for that. Jesse Guijardo, welcome, my friend. Good to see you. That Deep Space Nine scene where Garrick and Quark are lamenting the Federation takeover is a classic. Yeah. Troy, I have been enjoying my new job at a restaurant. Good. That is good to hear. Let's see. Don't want to miss nobody. Darth Plato, welcome. The end of Kelvin doesn't mean anything. Academy is still happening. Just wait. We're going to make the distinction.
Oh, I want to start opening my mouth. Okay, all right, I'll stop. Okay.
Jesse got a job. Everybody's getting a job. I'm so glad to hear it. Let's see here. Oh no, pulled a muscle in my arm. Enjoy your evening. Okay, so this is a weird coincidence, Ruby. I was literally sitting here editing a video for tonight. I'll be playing it shortly. And I reached for something, not real far, and pulled a muscle right under my arm, like on my ribs, just, stretching. Ow, it still kind of hurts. And it was like not letting up. It was like a spasm that wasn't going away for a long time. I was in a lot of pain, and I'm like trying to type, going, Getting old kind of sucks, I'm telling you. I'm eating my dinner kind of late. Lo mein and bourbon chicken. And I'm chasing it down with a classic Coke. Well, salute. That sounds like a worthy dinner and a drink. Woof. That's a way to start a work day. I clock in at 4 a.m. and clock out at 2 p.m. On the one hand, that does give you a lot of late afternoon and early evening to do personal stuff. On the other hand, I could see it causing you to drag by the end of the week. I'm telling you. True story. I got a sub from Publix, but the table was out of. I got a sub from a
submarine
Publix.
sandwich. Yes.
Yeah. But the table was out of provolone, so the kid tells me he has to go to the. He has to go to the.
Go to the what? See, I want to know the rest of this story.
As a man who loves eating meat, I salute you. Okay, so there's something missing there, Mark. There's part of that story's cut off. What the hell, man? You'll leave us hanging like that?
See, I always order my subs ahead of time if I get them at Publix. And one time, you know what happened? The person put it together, forgot to put the lettuce and the tomato on it, so she gave me a bag with the lettuce and tomato in it and said I could add it myself. And I just laughed. I'm like, it's fine. I just thought it was ridiculous. She had already made it without it, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to cause you trouble. I'll just add it myself when I open it up. It was a chicken.
Darth Plato says, I'd like to hear Lollipop in Klingon. I'm assuming you mean the
song,
the old acapella. Yeah. I could probably translate that fairly easily. I would just have to determine what would be the appropriate method of saying lollipop.
Okay,
in Klingon.
Much further down, he says, rest of story, kid says he has to go to the back and cut the cheese.
Oh, funny.
Oh, okay. Well, it's about time. Don't leave us hanging like that. You know, I am not good with anticipation. Not to sound like I'm trying to top Jesse.
I already said this one.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
There you go.
He's got a job too.
Everybody's getting jobs. I'm so happy for all of you.
Yeah, absolutely. I know what it's like to be jobless. I've had that happen several times over my lifetime. And when I was younger, it was so much easier for me to get a job, like, pretty quick. once you start getting older, companies start getting really ageist, and they start looking at you and going, no, we don't think so. So it's kind of harder to get a job. Although I understand it's much easier for a guy that's older to get a job than a woman that's older to get a job.
It statistically, it is true. Personally, I'm trying to imagine "Don't Rain on My Parade" in Klingon. I don't know all the lyrics to that, but sometimes you have to take English phrases and think them out in Klingon. It would probably be rain negative, rain not. That's how you usually say the opposite. Positive and negative in Klingon. On my military celebration.
What about the Alice's Restaurant song? You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant.
I could probably translate it fairly literally. I just don't know the lyrics. Let's see. I'm going to kind of go through these pretty quick. Old sucks, but it beats the alternative. That's true. You're right about that, Mark, right? Oh, okay, and there's the cutting the cheese part. There you go. Let's see. Technical glitch. That's fair. It's probably YouTube's fault. The chat has been so freaking ridiculous. Replace Lollipop with Big Toe. Oh, no. Try it. My new job. I help make 500 pounds to 1,000 pounds of barbecue or barbacoa. It's hard work, and I'm learning a lot of new stuff. Yes, I haven't worked. I haven't done a lot with barbecue, but I've watched a number of videos about smoking and,
and I won't allow him to smoke.
Not the kind of smoke. and preparing, barbecued beef and pork and so forth. It's very, very interesting, but it's a whole different ball of wax. It really, really is. That sounds very interesting. That I might absolutely be willing to work on. I'll have to look into it. It'd be a little challenging, but I could probably translate it. I don't think there's anything terribly tricky in those lyrics. But the one that would be tough would be a puppet, a poet, a pirate, a penguin. I don't remember. I don't remember the lyrics, but it's like I
Something
don't
a king,
know.
yes.
Yeah, a fool and a king. But I'm not sure that there's a word for each one of those in Klingon. It would be interesting.
I've been in and out and over and out. I think that was part of the song. The guy was singing that song in the movie License to Drive with Corey Haim and Corey Feldman when the drunk steals their uncle's car or the grandfather's car, remember, and starts puking in it and stuff. That was a good movie.
Exactly.
I like that movie.
So, again, I wanted to thank Geek Flag with Nate Knows. He a huge supporter of the channel, always sharing out the streams. He put together a portion of the promotion today for today's Liquid Lunch. I super appreciate that. And directly monetarily supporting the channel between being a member and gifting a membership today. Super appreciate that, my friend. And how about a Klingon version of Inagata Davida? I could actually translate that right now. Assuming that the legend is true, that Inagata Davida is actually just a slurred version of In the Garden of Eden. Of course, the Klingon version of Eden would be Chitu. So it is not a difficult translation to do.
Which is my Klingon name.
Yes, it is.
Which means paradise.
It absolutely does. I thought Inagata DeVito was already going on. Pretty close. So, but I wanted to thank Nate so much. And in fact, another way that he has contributed to the stream is he saw what the topic was today, and he said, "You know what? I'd like to share my Star Trek story to kind of serve as a baseline for your conversation." I said, "That sounds great." So let's cut to that right now. Be back right after this little share from Geek Flag with Nate Knows.
Troy, I wanted to contribute tonight to talk about what Star Trek means to me, because when I was a kid, the show wasn't just sci-fi. It was a survival manual that helped me rewrite my own life's prognosis. You see, just before my second birthday, I flatlined due to an undiagnosed fluid buildup in my skull. I was dead for 2 minutes and 22 seconds. My tiny body was being covered with a sheet when a doctor, a hero who wasn't even on my case, saw something. He charged the paddles and hit me twice, jolting me back to life. Then came the radical procedure. Strapped to my uncle's arms, they used simultaneous needles in my nose and the back of my skull to drain the fluid that nearly killed me. The crisis was over, but the doctor's final diagnosis hung over us. Because my brain had been without oxygen for so long, I was likely brain damaged. The best my mother could hope for, he said, was that I could eventually feed myself and use the bathroom independently. For years, my mother carried the weight of that prognosis. She treated me as if I was always years younger than I was, constantly worrying and speaking to me simply. I was defined by that low bar set by the prognosis. But then I discovered Star Trek hanging out with my older brothers. I wasn't just a kid defined by a medical scare. I was challenging myself to keep up with warped physics, alien cultures, and Spock's logic. The moment my mother realized my mind was completely intact happened when I was 9. I came downstairs and she was in the kitchen baking a cake. I asked what she was doing and she began explaining the process, but she was speaking to me like I was 3 years old, using baby talk and exaggerated tones. When she finished her entire little show, I looked up at her and delivered my verdict. Fascinating. My mother froze. She just stared at me and asked, "Do you know what that word means?" I said, "Yes, it means something very interesting or intriguing. Mr. Spock uses it all the time on Star Trek." She immediately sat down in her chair and said, "What other words do you know?" I broke out my entire vocabulary. At the end, she started to cry. I was worried, thinking I had done something wrong, but she said, "No, baby, I'm so happy." That was the day Star Trek rescued me. The Enterprise wasn't just a ship of exploration. It was the training program that helped me prove the doctor wrong and gave my mother the relief she had waited years for. It taught me that humanity and my own mind could always overcome the worst prognosis. Thank you, Troy. Well, that's my 2 cents. I'm Geek Flag with Nate Knows 1973. Live long and prosper.
There you go. There you go.
You know, I feel that my headline here, I don't want to dampen that wonderful video that
I think it's a perfect cornerstone, because I feel like we need to establish why Trek is so important to us to begin with. Yes. We all have stories. Like I pointed out at the top of the show that Netter and I met at a Star Trek convention. Star Trek is very important to us, and it has been kind of vandalized by these modern lazy people who don't know how to write and who don't know how to create anything. They only know how to destroy and deconstruct.
Can I share with you my own original Star Trek memories as a child?
Yeah.
I think my first introduction really was Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, when it was on Showtime, and I'd watched Star Wars a lot, right?
Yep.
And then I'm seeing something in the beginning. It says in the 23rd century, and I was like, well, what does that even mean? What does it mean in the 23rd century? And my dad explained, well, this is the 20th century, so this is like,
300 years in the future.
Yeah, right? and I'm like, oh. So this can really happen. This is really happening. This is the actual future. And then suddenly, I think until then, maybe I didn't have a clear idea of what science fiction was, because I'm like, oh, this is what the future is going to be, like hundreds of years from now. And then I'm seeing the ship, and I'm like, somehow it cemented something in my head that this wasn't fantasy. This is something that could actually be.
It's
And
interesting
yeah,
that you
and
say
that's
that
yeah.
because so many fans have said exactly that, whereas Star Wars was absolutely science fantasy,
Yes.
right? Star Trek tended to try to be grounded in reasonable presumptions about what the future could hold.
Yeah.
Maybe a little optimistic, but nonetheless, to the point where we today have not only technology that literally exists because the idea was put into engineers and scientists' head by being fans of Star Trek.
Think of all the things Star Trek predicted.
You know, I remember Captain Kirk would receive a fuel consumption report on a pad, and he'd sign off on it with a stylus and hand it back. And now we have these mobile devices, these iPads and so forth, which are literally inspired by that. The communicators that they use are basically flip phones.
Yeah.
You know,
Which of course gets smaller on TNG.
yeah. So there is so many. Even the hypo spray that really exists. The military has it. We don't use them much because the only value to them is when you're trying to give a whole lot of inoculations fast. Psst, 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 psst. They used to use them in the military during, I want to say during World War II, but maybe it was during Korea. But anyway, so yeah, a lot of that technology has truly. I want to real quick call out Tim Hayes. Guys, I've been sharing out his most recent stream a lot lately because he was so kind as to give me a wonderful shout out in that video. And I'd love for you guys to just go blow up that video of his. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. He's getting close to that magic number. And I'd love to see him get his subscription numbers up to that magic number. So let's help him out, okay, guys? Together we grow and so forth. Want to say, well, there's a couple people I want to say hi. Give me a second because they're important. Brother Jay is here. Hello, good to see you. Yep, we're going to talk about the Kelvin verse. Wilkie's Movies and Music. It was a great hanging out with you briefly this afternoon right after Liquid Lunch. Look at this group. Yeah, exactly. Nerds. But yeah. But yeah, Star Trek is and then we really do have real engineers and physicists trying desperately to work the mathematics to make warp drive work. And so you have someone like Alcubierre, who's come up with a theoretical drive based on mathematics that are possible, if not plausible. It's dependent on exotic matter that we don't know exists yet. But then again, you know, Star Trek based their technology on something called dilithium that doesn't really exist in the real world. So you never know. You never know. But the idea of warping space rather than physically traveling through space at the speed of light is a way to circumvent the so-called relativistic speed limit. In theory, people are trying, and that's what it takes. It takes that kind of vision, and it takes something to inspire you to a better world, to advance technology to the point that you could do the things that you see in Star Trek. But I'll tell you, the modern era of Trek has not been inspiring anybody, and it started with JJ Abrams and the Kelvin verse.
And to be fair, I've heard it also mentioned, people call it the Kelvin timeline. That's another way they say it. I just shortened it to Kelvin verse because it sounds stupider, and I feel that's appropriate.
Well, here's the problem. We all went into it I would compare, what was it, 2009, the original Star Trek? Yeah, 2009, this Star Trek reboot implied that it was directly related to the previous Star Trek movies and TV shows and whatnot. It implies a future story after Star Trek Nemesis, and involves time travel, going back in time to literally the day of Kirk's birth. So this is not out of the realm of plausibility for a Star Trek story.
No.
And it is entirely possible that a trip back in time starts an alternate timeline, right?
And to be fair, we were introduced to the concept of alternate timelines on, I think it was an episode of TNG, where you saw all the different enterprises from all the various universes showing up.
It was an episode called Parallels, which I thought was absolutely a brilliant episode. Worf finds himself, he's on his way back from a Batle tournament.
Right.
And en route, something happens that causes him to become unanchored from the quantum field, and he's fluctuating between different parallel timelines. And some of them, he doesn't even recognize them at first as being alternate, except minor differences. There's one universe that he's in where Commander Data, instead of having a yellow uniform of operations, has a red uniform
second in command. Yeah,
because he's the second in command, and I believe he had blue eyes.
Interesting.
You know, and that's one of the big things. It's like something's really off, but it starts out real small, like people not remembering something that he had said, or an incident that had happened in a previous episode, and it's like, how do you not remember? And then things are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And this is what I call good writing. They took the opportunity to show us, this is after The Best of Both Worlds, which was an incredible storyline where...
And he ends up on an Enterprise where Picard had been killed in that instance.
Exactly. The story originally, as was left a cliffhanger, we didn't know if Picard was coming back. And in fact, they were prepared to sacrifice Picard to save the world, and then they were ready to sacrifice the Enterprise, and both failed. But they did manage to get Picard back. Well, it's such a likely possibility that doesn't happen, that it turns out they do encounter a universe where... and that was the difference. They stopped the Borg, but didn't get Picard back.
It came with a price. And then there was another Enterprise. Go ahead.
There was a great dramatic moment there where the Riker on that ship is talking to Worf on the other ship or whatever, and he says, "Oh no, he's talking to Captain Picard, because Captain Picard is..."
Yes.
And he's like, "Captain Picard." And he gets real serious, like, "It's good to see you again."
Yes.
And Picard knows. He's like, and he just nods. You know, it's just a great one. But then they encounter another Enterprise.
Yes.
Without Picard, where Riker is in command. But in that universe, they failed. And the Borg have wiped out the human race, and they're the last ship left. And he's frantic and frazzled, and he doesn't want to go back to his universe.
Yeah, because they all have to go back, or else it's going to cause a...
But this was a great story, because every step along the way, either the changes were so minor, it's like, well, that's weird, or they were big changes, but you knew where the point of divergence was. And you're like, oh, this is the what if story. What if this? What if that? What if the other, right?
Yeah.
Even to the point of Deanna Troi having a relationship with Riker, having a relationship with Worf, and it ultimately, you have to assume, it affects his future going forward. He makes some different choices going forward after that experience, particularly pursuing a relationship with Deanna Troi, then he would have had this event never happen. So there's a universe where that story doesn't happen, and there was no relationship between Worf and Deanna for a brief period of time. That is good writing, good alternate timeline, good time travel story. As opposed to this piece of crap where not only does it go back in time and change the future after that point, but somehow it changes the entire universe going back to the dawn of time. It changes the evolution of Klingons. It changes the culture of the Romulans. It changes the whole history of the Federation.
So, can I interject?
Not to mention technology.
May I interject? My impression is that I didn't know about the 10% different nonsense. I just thought, they're just updating certain things. Because, I mean, the Klingons, they updated the Klingons once, and I know they came up with a lore reason on Enterprise for why the Klingons didn't have the bumps. But I just looked at it like, okay, they're sort of still trying to tie it to the original Star Trek series, but also now they can start fresh again. I wasn't as hateful on this movie as what follows. There are some issues, but I mean, there were some things it did right too.
Yes, you're right.
It's a good-looking cast. I'll say that.
It really is. I have 101 problems with the JJ verse, but the casting is not one of them. At least in the first movie.
Yes.
At least in the first movie.
I mean, you have Carl Urban as McCoy. You have Zoe Saldana as.
I was shocked at how good he was as McCoy.
Chris Pine.
I mean, he was the one. He was the one that I had the most doubts about. Everyone else was like, "Oh yeah, that's perfect casting." Him, I was like, "Really?" But once I saw him in it, I was like, "Yeah, really."
Chris Pine as Kirk, and
he did great.
Honestly, I think the most successful casting in this movie was Chris Pine as Kirk, because I can see
I agree.
him
In fact,
as a young Kirk. Yes, because I love Shatner. You know, don't get me wrong.
I would say that of all the roles I've seen Chris Pine in, this may actually be one of the best castings for him. I did not care for him. Well, it's not really his fault, really. I didn't care for him in Wonder Woman, and there was another franchise film that he was in that I didn't care for him in. I can't remember.
I don't know.
But,
I think he was in a Jack Ryan at some point, I think, which I didn't see. But
casting perfect here. And God rest his soul, this kid here who played Chekhov was just
Anton Yelchin, I think.
Freaking casting. I mean, I would actually have to say this is one example where his casting was actually better than what's his name, Walter Koenig. No offense to Walter Koenig. They had a very different plan for him in mind. Yes. They were trying to cast him as kind of a heartthrob answer.
Beatles, the Beatles haircut.
Davy Jones, yeah. You know, and that was like, no. And so they just said, screw all that. We're not bogged down by any of that. You're just a Russian kid. And he is a Russian kid. You know, it's like, okay, well, I'll just be myself. And it was perfect.
Who played Sulu in this? It was the actor from Harold and Kumar, as I recall. Yeah.
I forget his name, but
I like what they did with Sulu in this, how there was actually a scene where he's fighting Romulans and he gets out his sword. He's actually... You see him good with the sword, how they alluded to in the one Star Trek was going nuts. So, you know, and even in the sequel movie, they had him where he took over command, and you could see, yes, he can be a captain. I did appreciate those slight nods in these.
I especially love that they not only paid attention to those elements of lore, but they thought them through, right? They were. This is going to sound really bad. John Cho, that's his name.
Thank you, baby.
This is going to sound bad, but bear with me and be open-minded to what I'm saying. I feel that some of the characterization that we got as back in the 60s when they were trying to be diverse, they wanted to be show, you know, multicultural elements.
Well,
they did tend to get a little tokeny you know.
My thoughts was this,
and
okay?
a little stereotypical in some
They're
cases.
saying in the future, who do we have here? We have a Japanese man working alongside I guess
Yeah.
what we call future Americans, and we also have a Russian, Soviet
Yep.
Union, the current enemy,
Yep.
the former enemy of the United States. We're getting along in the future. That's
The
over.
important point
Okay,
is that
yes.
the nice thing is that they hadn't established all of this future history for Star Trek as they were making the original series. This film had the benefit of all of that filled in. So they know, okay, well, the Federation is formed now. It's a unified Earth, one government. So we don't have this animosity between the United States and Russia and
Japan
any
and
other.
all these other things. Yes.
But, and this is very different from where the mentality of otherwise sympathetic minds today would be, is you see it, you even see it in the Next Generation with Picard and speaking French and growing up in Le Bras and stuff. There's this idea that they haven't given up their cultures. In fact, because they live now in a peaceful, post-scarcity generation, right? They can focus on the arts and history and culture. So you have people that are not only of their cultures, but proud of their cultures. You've got
like
got
Dr. Bashir on Deep Space Nine, Middle Eastern, right? And you have O'Brien Irish, obviously, and they're good
very
friends.
Irish, very Irish.
Yes.
You got the Scotsman here, you got the Japanese. So the Japanese guy studying swordcraft, the history of Bushido and so forth. You look at a YouTuber like Go Ask Shogo, is that his name? Japanese kid, about his age, young guy, married, has a kid, does videos about life in Japan, but he studies the history, and he is studying multiple martial arts, but he is learning to be certified in the katana and learning the skills of the samurai. And because it's an interest of his. I have no reason to believe that Sulu would be any different. But we've also established in the original series that he's not just interested in his own culture. He likes handguns and he likes all kinds of weapons. So he's interested in all of that kind of stuff. He's a bit of a historian. Now we've got, of course, Chekhov, who loves his Russian culture. And when you start digging into Russian culture, you're of course going to hit that 20th century where there was this period of USSR propaganda that wanted to rewrite history and make you believe that every development in history was invented by the Russians. So you figure he's the youngest member of this crew. He probably hasn't parsed through, oh, wait, they lied in the 20th century about history? Really? So he's probably going through that period, which I find brilliant, And then, of course, this is another, I think, elevation of the character of Uhura, right? Yes. She grew up speaking Swahili. She grew up in Africa.
Right.
Wonderful, right? But multilingual, right? Yes. And she was just a polyglot. So when she's thinking about joining Starfleet, well, I don't just want to learn all these languages on Earth. I want to learn all these languages of all the alien races. So you get the impression that she is one of those type of people, and you know them, the Metatron is one, and there's a lot of others who speak a lot of languages fluently, so they understand the building blocks of communication, which is what's necessary, to try to decipher a language you've never encountered before. And I think that's brilliant, and that's exactly who they would put at the communications terminal there.
May I address Joe's atmosphere in the chat real quick? Love that Kirk was born in the middle of a space battle on the edge of the universe. Sorry, guys. Dug this flick. I didn't hate this first Star Trek movie. I didn't hate this first one. I thought this was okay. There's some issues, but I thought it was a good start. And
so I
want
to get back
to a new generation. That's how I looked at it.
I do want to get back to a comparison I was about to draw. It's JJ Abrams, so it's easy to make this comparison. I very easily compare this Star Trek movie to The Force Awakens.
Right.
Both movies were not the best, but they weren't bad. And you were just waiting for the next one to see what happened. See if it really grabbed you.
I was excited for the next one because...
And in both cases, they crapped the bed. And made
they Amber Heard.
They Amber Hearded the previous films. That's the problem. But yeah.
Chris Hemsworth, right? Don't recognize it without the beard. So yeah, as Kirk's dad.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good casting, I think.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. And of course, we realize the timeline has changed because later on Spock says, oh, your dad's proudest moment was watching you graduate from Starfleet Academy because his dad had lived in the other timeline. Yeah,
exactly.
So this is almost like a flashpoint sort of thing. But
this gave them the freedom to change things about characters and not be bogged down by canon, which, let's face it, we had spent at this point, 40 years immersed in this canon, buying chronologies, buying encyclopedias, reading books and comic books and audio dramas and all kinds of things, fan fiction, role-playing games. We knew these characters, and now you're basically throwing them out, and we're sitting here going, this isn't the same character anymore. Why are you bothering? Why did you not just take and start telling stories from this point onward? That's the problem. That's the first problem that the fans had with all of this.
Well, I kind of saw it at the time as, yeah, Kirk's life has been changed, but Kirk will emerge as Kirk was in the other universe. He will still be Kirk. Like, here we go. We have this, okay. This is
this Romulan mining ship that's got. Fan theory is it's decked out with Borg technology.
What on earth? This is what was confusing to me. I'm assuming that this is farther in the future, at least in Next Generation time, maybe even further along. This Romulan mining ship, and this was done, and our villain, whose name was Nero, played by Eric Bana, he's a Romulan from the far future, and we learned that there was a problem.
We'll get to that, Horror Cat Dad. I'm all ready to go off on that one. Yeah.
We learned that in the future there was going to be some kind of thing that was going to destroy Romulus, like a collapsing star. So, I don't know. Spock is trying to come up with a way to contain the explosion, but doesn't make it in time. He had technology. So, to be fair, that goes along with Spock. Spock was never the enemy of Romulans. He was hoping for a reunification, right, of the Romulans and the Vulcan.
And
he was trying to save Romulus, but he failed. That's what happened, yes.
And herein is
and
probably...
Eric blamed him for that, yes.
This is the best place for us to probably begin to address the whole connection or lack thereof between the Bad Robot movies and the Alex Kurtzman Secret Hideout streaming shows. The connection is that in Picard, they make reference to the events that were mentioned here in 2009.
Why? Let go the destruction of Romulus. Stop.
So you have to... What they seem to be implying is that Kurtzman Trek takes place in a Star Trek timeline that was the original Star Trek universe before the Romulans and Spock went back in time.
Yes.
It is not the Kelvin timeline, but it is the original Star Trek timeline going
That's
forward.
what I had assumed, but even I wasn't completely sure because let's not.
Based on things said in Picard, that's what you have to assume. Now,
That's what I assumed in Picard. Yes,
the
but things
question
since then.
is that in any way related to Discovery and Strange
Well,
World and all that other bullshit? Here's the problem. You need to put aside the storytelling elements, the logic of storytelling and canon, and understand the legal ties of the different production companies. Okay? You mentioned the concept of 20% different. There is a reason that all of these changes were made in the Kelvin universe, and that is because this was a different brand of Star Trek that JJ Abrams could make money marketing. It needs to look different so he can sell his version of the Enterprise, his version of the characters, his version of a Klingon, his version of a whatever. You know, the pew-pews and the communicators and
the
stuff.
The funny thing was, at the time, I didn't even know that's what was going on. I just thought, okay, well, they're just doing this, I guess, to update it because they don't want it to look like the old thing, kind of like how when they did the Star Trek movies, they changed the look of the Klingons. And I know they came up with a canon reason for that later on.
That's how they justify it, but that wasn't the reason.
Well, now we learned later on that wasn't the reason. Look at the Romulans here.
This is why the Romulans are different. This idea of the tattoos on their face, they don't have those next-gen-y type bumps. They have slightly different ears. This is all marketable by Bad Robot.
I had assumed that these were Romulan miners, and that maybe by mining they had been in different conditions to make them look the way they do. They're a bit rougher around the edges than
like a storyteller, and that was the conceit of what they were getting at. They would have you believe that so that they can do the thing they want to do. But the real world reason they did it was that. That's just like saying, well, I always just assume Klingons always look like that. They just didn't have the budget to do that in the original series. And the show writers were
right.
Yeah, that's exactly.
We don't talk about those ones
well,
with
yeah,
outsiders.
Exactly.
But in the case of this, I always figured these are just regular working Joes. These weren't even Romulan military. They were regular working guys that were on a quest for revenge. And because they're so much further in the future than the Kirk era, they have technology far more advanced than what they had.
And like I said, the fan theory is that they also have access to Borg technology. That's why they're able to travel back in time, and that's why their ship looks so weird and all that other stuff. But that's not canon. That's fanon. But so yeah, again, great. This is at least good explanation initially, but then, like I said, when you start looking, back and you go, well, wait a minute, why does the Enterprise look so different?
I have to say, I could not find hardly any decent pictures of this Enterprise when I'm hunting online from Kelvin Universe Enterprise. It was hard. I have one in here. I'll get to it. Okay, but it was hard me finding proper images, or maybe they just looked that bad. I don't know.
They kind of do. That's true.
Captain Pike was back. I kind of like that aspect of this movie. We have Bruce Greenwood as Captain Pike. And I like the fact that Captain Pike, at the end of this movie, kind of gets a sort of a happy ending, happier than what he had in the original series. He gets promoted to brass at Starfleet, so this allows Captain Kirk to take over the captain.
And I also love the fact that in the storyline, when we see him at the end, he is in a wheelchair. But he is clearly not as badly injured as he was in the original timeline. So again, a nod to that timeline, but saying, but it's not that timeline.
But what was it though? There's some quips I have with this movie. Like he says, enlist in Starfleet to a young James C. Kirk. You don't enlist in Starfleet, you enroll. You not anyone can be taken into Starfleet. They take the best of the best.
Well, maybe that is another change in the timeline where it becomes more militant because of what happened.
I guess. I don't know. I always say there is no good picture of the JJ prize. Big Al says, I'm sorry, I have to bring that up.
We'll get into that.
All right, let's see here. We have Mr. Spock here. They do go into his childhood a bit in this. I thought it was interesting how he's being bullied by Vulcans, and the way Vulcans have of bullying someone else is they try to get them to have an emotional outburst.
Yeah.
That's how they bully, and I thought that was interesting. That was kind of clever, I thought.
It's interesting because that's how bullies online behave, too.
I suppose so, yes. But the way they bullied is they wanted him to punch them. They weren't punching him. They wanted to get a rise on him, so they punched them. And if he hits them, that's how they win in the bullying. Right. I thought that was interesting. Winona Ryder as his mom, I thought that was a nice touch. Good casting there, I thought. And Ben Cross as Sarek, yes.
Yeah. I like that casting too. That was
really good. I don't really have a problem with a ton of the casting in this movie.
Let me throw something at you.
Oh, go ahead. Yes.
Would you speculate that in this timeline there is no Cybok?
Cybok. Oh, I don't know.
See.
I'm sure they were saving him for part 4. Okay.
Oh God.
They could do no. They should just do. They could have done Star Trek 5 all over again, where they have to go find Eden, and we're gonna do it right this time. They'll bring back William Shatner to direct again. I'm sorry. Let's not go there. That'll be a topic.
But wait, what were the different? There was Eden, K2. Shakari,
all the yes,
Votavor,
whatever the alien race, different alien races had their version of paradise, I guess, where they wanted to get back to. Here we have Leonard Nimoy was in this. I was hyped for this because he was on Fringe, and they were doing little hints on Fringe about this. They had the one guy, Clint Howard, was on there as a guy that kept talking about how, it's the Romulans that are going to invade Earth, and that was a kind of a nod to this upcoming movie. Yes, because I think Peter Bishop said, "What, are the Klingons going to attack us?" No, it's the Romulans. And yes, okay. So here we have old Spock, who time traveled back and gets to watch the destruction of planet Vulcan from an outlying planet. Which, if I'm following logic, even from Star Trek, that would have shifted the orbit of the planet he was watching from, and completely mess it up.
Exactly.
I didn't like them blowing up Vulcan. That annoyed me. That's something they did in this movie. Stop blowing up planets. It's not Star Wars. Okay.
True.
I mean,
very true.
I don't like that. I don't like completely rewriting things like that. And then, of course, the Vulcans end up a new Vulcan anyway, so what's the point?
Yeah, this is so much change. Why did you bother? Why didn't you just continue?
And I get it. Nero wants revenge, but and I guess he was going to head to Earth next. I guess they needed their super weapon. That's the problem. I know that the guys in Red Letter Media said that they're tired of seeing super weapons in Star Trek. It's become a thing they always do now.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy. Yeah.
So here we go.
Oh, the lens flares.
I had to include one with the lens flare. Come on. I should have known there was a problem with Abrams with Super 8 because I liked what was that you just gave us a lens flare?
That was that's the Life Day globe. We'll talk more about that on Monday.
On Monday, I'll be joining you for that. Yes. So here we go. Netter, did you have any comments on this Star Trek movie? Things you liked, things you didn't? I'm just curious.
Did you see this with me?
I don't remember. But
she's blocked it out of her mind.
What isn't the guy who plays Spock the one that was in Save the Cheerleader, Save the World?
Yeah, he was the bad guy that would split people's heads open and take their powers.
Yeah, it's like because I remember when this came out. I don't think I saw it. I saw it like later, and I don't remember if I saw the whole thing or not.
Yeah,
but I remember looking and going, "That's the guy, the bad guy from Save the Cheerleader."
Skylar was the character,
and it was like, how can you take this vindictive, evil jerkwad, and now he's supposed to be this logical guy? It doesn't work. It's still fresh in everyone's mind that he was in this other thing is this jerk, and now you're casting him in this very logical role.
But it's not. They're subverting his logic. He's a very emotional character. Yeah.
Then that shows I didn't actually watch. I only
Well,
saw
no, that's fine.
But it's like, but Spock is supposed to be very logical.
Oh,
and
well,
very
it wasn't
calm and all
Skylar,
that.
it was Siler, right?
Siler, that's
Yeah,
right.
whatever,
That was
yeah.
his name.
But it's like,
Yeah.
it's like trying to separate those two characters was difficult for me because I'm like, he was a total jerk in this thing, and now they got them as this calm guy. I don't see it.
Mark Daly makes a great point here. Wrecking Vulcan was an editorial comment on Vulcan philosophy of logic over emotion, which is the opposite of leftist Hollywood mentality. I hadn't thought about it that way before, Mark. You're absolutely right. That is very, very true.
Oh, Skylar is Breaking Bad. Yes, another villain. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. No, I'm sorry.
I never saw Breaking Bad. So
she was Walt's wife. People have argued that. I've heard people argue online that she's actually worse than Walt. And she's like, "What do you mean? She doesn't kill people." Yeah, but she makes everyone miserable. That's her thing on the show. But anyway, that's a topic for another time.
And it might not be quote unquote logical that I'm equating the guy from one series with this movie.
Yeah.
But since he was still so fresh in my mind from that series that had just ended,
well,
and
no,
now
it was
he's
still on. It was concurrent. That's why. That's why you had this problem.
That's right. It was still on, and it's just like kind of hard to separate it because it's like all I could think of. This is the jerk from the series. This doesn't make any sense to me.
Welcome, CluuStudio. Clue is speculating, Boomer, that he's the only person on Earth who liked Skylar.
Oh no, she was awful.
I never saw the show, so I don't even know who
it's
this
a brilliant
is.
Crime show, but yeah.
I've heard. Yeah,
yes,
I've heard.
Yes. But this is a what was it though? But yeah, you're right because I think it was because it was on at the same time. I think if Heroes had ended, and then he was on this show as a different, that would have been more acceptable but I think it's kind of like the guy on Lost, the guy who played the villain on Lost, but then he ends up on Person of Interest and he's not a villain of that. Well, that's because Lost had ended, so now he can play something else. But I think if it's concurrent, I see how that threw you off better. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have here the bridge of the Enterprise, which is obviously the JJ prize. This is not, look, the original Enterprise is freaking classic. It is enshrined in the Smithsonian. So this is another thing that people were like, no, of all the things you can change, you can't change the Enterprise. This is television royalty. This is, you don't mess with this. And they did, and I really feel like the audience was like, this isn't the Enterprise. I will say
like
this.
The Excelsior Bridge from Star Trek 3, if I'm being honest. That's what,
kind
the
of
gleaming white, yeah.
Kind of. There is a scenario that you get to play in Star Trek Online where you cross into the Kelvin universe. Basically, it's an opportunity for them to just use that IP and for you to get items from that universe, like Klingon weapons from that universe and so forth. Which, of course, I have to.
Yes.
Okay. You may have explained this, but and I just didn't hear you. But why is it called the Kelvin universe?
Because the ship is attacked by the Romulans that come back in time that Kirk's father served on was the USS Kelvin.
And the USS Kelvin gets destroyed when it wasn't supposed to get destroyed in the original timeline.
And most fans try to assume that the whatever class of ship that the Kelvin is exists in the real Trek universe because it predates this time travel thing. But again, they changed stuff going back from that point for reasons.
Okay.
So
I've heard...
And this might sound stupid, but isn't Kelvin like a degree of
it is
like you got Fahrenheit, you got Celsius, Kelvin?
Yes.
Okay.
You're exactly right. It is so
it was named after
it is a metric for measuring temperatures in absolute extremes.
Okay.
Before we move, I just want to bring up the warp drive in the Star Trek these movies. Some people liked it. I hated it. I liked the classic warp drive. I don't like this.
Yeah.
What this is going on for this is like a football
This is a
stadium.
fucking brewery. Yeah. It is. I'm not even kidding. This was filmed in a brewery.
I like the elegance of the classic warp drive on Star Trek. I like the console and the TARDIS, how it goes. I like things like that. This future technology that we don't have yet,
Right.
and this is looking too close to now.
Yeah.
It's too bulky. It's like no, and like no, I didn't like it. I don't think I want to spend too much more time on that. Let's see. Do we have? And there's the Enterprise. That was my picture I got. What do you think, huh?
I think it's ugly. I think it's absolutely ugly. There are elements here. Okay, so this is supposed to be the NCC 1701. This is supposed to be the Enterprise of the era of the original 5-year mission, Kirk's original 5-year mission.
Yes.
Or maybe earlier than that. Maybe this is Pike's 5-year mission.
We don't know because the timeline got screwed up. So,
but it's got. If you look at that saucer, if you look at that deflector dish, those are elements from the movie era, the refit, the upgrade of the Enterprise. Those nacelles, what the hell is going on with those? They're like fucking thunder thighs. I don't understand that at all. That's freaking ridiculous. And one thing that you don't see on this, this is so terrible. The very back of the ship, where the nacelles come together, that back point is the shuttle bay.
oh yeah, that's a classic. Yeah.
Yes, the shuttle bay is little bitty tiny because it is the same size as the shuttle bay on the original Enterprise. And the rest of the ship is freaking huge. It is like twice the size of the classic Constellation class Enterprise from the original series. Now people will say, no, it's not. It's supposed to be the same size. If that's the case, then that fucking shuttle bay, you wouldn't be able to squeeze yourself out of, let alone a fucking shuttlecraft.
They wanted apartments like on TNG, how people could have these little apartments on the ship.
So you're telling me then that it would be like an apartment in New York? Basically,
Yeah,
the size of a closet, you're paying $3,000 a month for it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, I'm thinking more like, imagine someone shrunk our garage down so that the garage door was only big enough for me to crawl out of. How the hell would you get a car out of that door? That's the problem.
So yeah, kind of ugly. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
I know. I've just been demonetized.
All right.
Probably on
can
this
we just
screen.
move on into our next one because this is the one where for starters, let's look at the date, 2013. This is 4 years later. What were they doing? You just relaunched Star Trek. Go ahead.
Real quick, I want to. I would love to do this. This would be a great rabbit hole to go down, Jesse. But honestly, there's whole channels dedicated to this. The guys over at Trek Yards do this kind of stuff all the time. Just
so. I get that sometimes it takes a while to make a sequel. I know that the Batman, the Dark Knight trilogy, they had 4-year intervals, but to be fair, that's Christopher Nolan and it's Batman, and that's what allowed that. Yeah. This was a franchise that had been dormant since Enterprise ended. They had to revitalize it. They needed to start cranking sequels out. And I don't know what took them so long. I think 3 years should have been the minimum on this. I don't know how this took 4 years to make. But, you'd figure 4 years to make, it's going to be really good, right? Because they took the extra time they needed.
Because all they did was they made a frickin' remake of Star Trek II.
A bad remake. And we didn't know that going into this. We kept saying Benedict Cumberbatch's going to be in this. He's playing, and people kept asking, oh, here you go. You got a thing.
Well, no, I think you came in late. Okay. Well, first I want to thank you.
We were saying some complimentary things about the first movie. It's not all bad. All right.
First, let me thank you for the $5 super chat and say, we were actually saying positive things about the original. You came in late. I don't mind repeating for you. I compared the 2009 Star Trek to Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Both JJ Abrams projects, they were okay. And they were dependent on what came after them to determine if they would hook you and you could really enjoy them. And unfortunately, in both cases, the follow-up sucked so bad that it kind of ruins the previous movie by relationship.
Oh, yeah. Horkat Dad said he was expecting Khan to be into it. A lot of people were predicting it, and Abrams kept saying, he's not in it. No Khan. It's not going to be
Let's
Khan.
back up for a second
He
with
kept saying
JJ
it over
Abrams.
and over and over again.
Remember, JJ Abrams' big success before all of this was the TV show Lost.
Yes.
And
Felicity.
Yeah, I forget.
Sorry. I bring up Felicity all the time, yes.
But and Alias.
Alias I enjoyed, actually. Yeah.
Which was based on a comic, so let's not give him too much credit on that one.
Well, plus you have other writers on these shows.
Was he also responsible for Fringe?
Yes, but again, you have other writers on these shows, and you wonder, I think he was a good television producer, maybe he hired the right writers. I don't know
what I was going to say about Lost.
Yeah.
With Lost, this was one that I dove into with both feet, or I don't know. I think I just mixed my metaphors, but the thing about that was that there was a lot of great marketing, multimedia marketing. There was internet links, there was web pages, there was books. And all of this stuff gave you little hints to what was going on with this whole crazy mystery. And you could compare this very much to the foreshadowing that George R.R. Martin put into A Song of Ice and Fire. A lot of people guessed two things in for those of you that don't know what Ice and Fire is, it's the books that Game of Thrones was based on. So a lot of fans of the shows were reading the books and drawing correlations and thinking through, and fans would try to guess what was coming up next. And one fan guessed the thing about Hodor. Yep. Hodor meaning hold the door,
right?
And the whole timey-wimey thing there.
He had one job, yes.
Exactly. Okay. And the other thing was that, what's his name? I keep wanting to say Kit, but that's the actor.
Jon Snow?
Jon Snow would be resurrected, and he was... lots of things about his history and him filling a prophecy and everything. And to his credit... It's the only thing I'll give him to his credit because I'm pissed at him because he's not going to do anything else. Martin said he thought about changing what he was doing because the fans had figured it out. And he goes, no. If the fans are engaged enough to pick up on the clues and the foreshadowing that I laid down, then by goodness, they deserve the payoff of being right. And he went ahead with his plans. On the other hand... With Lost, JJ Abrams,
had a hissy fit.
Well, yeah, because the fans are looking at all of this and putting all the pieces together and working together online, sharing their thought pattern and their logic and saying, these guys all died in the initial plane crash. None of this is real. They're all in purgatory. And at the end, they're all going to figure it out and move on to the next plane of existence. And JJ is like, no, they're not dead. This isn't purgatory. And sure as shit, the last episode, what was it? They're all dead. They move on exactly like the fans had guessed. It's like, why did you bother friggin' lying to us and then go ahead and do it, you dumbass?
I would have rather he changed that last season, but anyway, let's see. CluuStudio has a thing, though.
I'm getting there. All right. Thank you so much, Clue, for the $5 super chat. I was a fan of Felicity because she entered college with me 1998 and graduated in 2002. We were classmates. I like that. Clue.
Kerry Russell was Kirk's dad in this. Kirk's mom, excuse me.
Yeah. it's funny you say that because all the characters, the teenage characters, Laura Palmer, Donna Hayward, all of them, they were in my graduating class. I was the same age as those characters were supposed to be. So I directly connected with them. And then when Netta and I started dating, got married, and got into the fandom of Twin Peaks, we as part of the fan community, there was somebody who was doing a graduating class, the year that, Twin Peaks takes place. It's got this sweet little homage to Laura Palmer in remembrance and so on and so forth. And you could, if you submit a picture, like your high school yearbook picture, they would put it in the yearbook and you could be in the graduating class with. And I'm like, this is my actual graduating class, that actual age. And it was just nice for Netta and I to be able to fictitiously have graduated high school together in Twin Peaks in an alternate universe. But I get what you're saying. I'd never watched the show, but that, what's her name, Russell girl, I liked her fine.
Kerry Russell,
yeah.
Check out if you ever get around to it, you can watch The Americans. You'll enjoy that show, and she's on it. She's a Soviet spy.
A Russian agent, yeah. I've heard about that.
During the 80s, yes. It's very interesting. Star Trek Into Darkness. Look at the Enterprise going down in flames. This is...
Let's face it, that actually is a good... So, there's a couple things here. So, this, for some, might evoke the Challenger disaster.
I didn't even think about that. Yikes.
Yeah. It might also evoke the destruction of the Enterprise in Star Trek 3. So everyone was like, really? Where are we going with this?
It amazes me how in the 80s you can have all this creativity on the fly, get a sequel out in 2 years, and then this is 4 years and it's just complete stagnation. I don't understand it. This is I want to say this is the pre-woke era, but this was actually the first instance where, like, the writer Robert Orci on this, he was, because the Star Trek fans did not like this movie. They ranked it as the worst Star Trek movie, and he started yelling at them online. And this is like the first time someone in Hollywood, like, instead of just either agreeing or apologizing or at least just not saying anything. This is when I saw the attack of the fans. Yeah,
I will always give credit to Joel Schumacher, as much as I hated.
As he admitted their mistakes were made.
He was like, "Yeah, I see what you guys are saying. I'm sorry." And it's like, well, damn. Okay, you and what does that do? It takes all the wind out of your sails. It's hard to be mad at someone who takes it on the chin and goes, "Yeah, you're right."
Okay.
Like, well, fine.
Can we start with the stupid pre-title sequence? I hated this. I'm sorry. This is the planet with the goofy aliens, the humanoid aliens that are going to die because the volcano is going to erupt. And then Spock is like, well, should we be doing this? It's a violation of the Prime Directive. And then the Enterprise is on the planet underneath the water, which makes no sense to me.
Nope.
Because I was always of the impression that these massive starships could not land on planets. They had to remain in space. That's why they had shuttlecrafts, or it'd have to be a smaller ship like the Defiant might be. Maybe the Defiant could do that because it's like the Federation version.
No, in fact, the only starship that we ever saw land that we knew had landing capability. There's actually a couple now that I think about it. The Intrepid class Voyager was able to land. It had landing capabilities because it literally had landing gears. It also was not nearly as big as the Enterprise was.
It was not.
The other thing was the Galaxy class had a separating saucer section that could also land in emergencies, and we saw that in Star Trek Generations.
That'll be a rant for another night. Star Trek Generations. Okay. Anyway, But anyway, we have this whole scene, and then of course it's all about Prime Directive. But if they don't do anything, this sentient alien race dies because there's going to be a cataclysmic event on their planet. And I guess that's a weird moral clause with the Prime Directive. Do you still try to prevent that from happening with an undeveloped race, or do you let them die because you don't interfere? And I guess that was a sort of moral quandary. I know later on Spock tattles on Kirk, says, "Oh, he was doing all these things," which. And I think I forgot what side it was, but this could have been rather immediate. They were saying, "Why is Spock acting like such a, if you'll excuse the phrase, a dick in these movies?"
Yeah,
he's a jerk, and at this point, they should be friends, and Spock should actually have some influence over Kirk's thinking by having a conversation with him, and this might sway Kirk from being, I guess, the cowboy and things. But it's like no one has moved on from the first movie. It's like they're reset back to where they were at the beginning of that movie.
Yep.
Like the character development I thought they went through is now gone.
Because, again, these people don't know how to write stories. That's the problem.
Like, I thought they were supposed to have matured a little bit by the end of the events from that movie. Zoe Saldana, I just think she's a good-looking woman. That's why I keep
Yes, she is. I think she was...
yes.
Again, she kind of elevates the character of Uhura, in my opinion.
Yeah, but they did this whole weird thing with her and Spock in a relationship, which they started in the first movie, which was never even hinted at on the original series. That was, in fact, I think he was teasing him one time, Spock.
So here's the other problem that you have, and I'm seeing it with the so-called modern audience, right? And that's that among these fans of these cultural blasphemes, right? One of the things they tend to like about them, in addition to the inclusion and the equity and all that, is the shipping. They love their shipping. They want to ship these characters together. That's where the Raylos all come in. And if you piss off the Raylos, you lose your entire audience.
But the shipping of Spock and Uhura, was that ever?
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not where I was going, Boomer.
Okay, that's fine.
The shipping for fans for all time had always been Spock and Nurse Chapel. That was the one the fans wanted to see. And so when they started this out of nothing, the fans were like, I'm out. Where is Nurse Chapel? She's not even in this.
Nope.
So screw you.
All right. So let's move on. And I think they were having a breakup in this too. In this, like, look at this. We have Carol Marcus.
I will say again, another good casting for Carol Marcus.
But I have a question. Why does she have an English accent?
Because the actress doesn't know how to put on an American accent.
It doesn't make her.
No, but again, history's been changed. Maybe she didn't. Maybe her family didn't live in North America. Maybe she lived in Europe because of something that happened because of the destruction.
Except that Peter. Well, actually, that's a spoiler. Peter Weller plays her dad in this, and Peter Weller has an American accent. So, right?
But does her mother?
None of this makes any sense. Yeah, I guess, the mother could have been English and she grew up in England instead of America. Okay, that could have been what they changed in the timeline.
Yeah.
I don't know. Nice looking actress. I don't get it. And I thought, well, this is kind of neat. They might be doing the romance with Carol Marcus and Captain Kirk.
This is a perfect example though of level of talent, right? I've pointed out there's American actors that can do very, very good British accents. There's British actors that can do very good American accents. If you can't do that, you are lacking in a skill as an actor. Go back to acting school.
Anyway, moving on to good gracious, I'm dead, says Captain Pike. Yes, we get to kill off Captain Pike after saving him in the prior movie, which annoyed me to no end. Because I'm like, you just went to the trouble of not giving poor Pike this horrible ending that he had in the original series,
and I would argue that
this is a worse ending.
This is a worse ending. Yeah, I would rather spend my ending years with what's her name, Weena or whatever.
Yeah.
On
Melissa
Talos
George
4?
played her on
Yeah.
Discovery, and I'm like, yeah. So he at least the aliens took care of him and this woman, and they.
I remember having a bit of a crush on her, not because of Star Trek though, because of her role in The Disorderly Orderly.
Interesting. Okay.
Did you ever see that with Jerry Lewis?
I did not, but I should look for it now.
You should check it out. It's a good one. It really is.
Yeah, in fact, the one who played that same character on Discovery, though, when they revisited her, that was Melissa George, and she played this is the girl from Mulholland Drive. Remember the one he's forced to cast? That was who played her on that.
Yep.
But no, he's here. He is. He gets killed. And I guess Spock was doing a mind meld thing with him at the point and got to feel his horror and fear about dying and didn't like it. And just already the tone of this movie, I'm just not liking. It's
Mark, you're not wrong. Alice Eve, the Jerry Ryan of the Kelvin timeline. Pretty much. Yes.
I don't understand. I know when people want to go dark and they would argue, well, Star Trek 2 is kind of dark and Empire Strikes Back is dark. Yeah, they're dark, but not that dark. The light is still there. I don't know what's going on here. We're introduced to Peter Weller, who's a high up guy in Starfleet Command, and of course we find out he's involved with Section 9, right?
Is it
Section 31? What do they call it?
Whatever section it is. I call it
Section 9. Section 9's Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
Someone in the chat will tell me what it is. I don't care. It's that secret ops thing that was introduced on Deep Space Nine, and I think that was the show that I don't know. It was part of the Dominion War storyline. I remember that, and they just please can we get rid of it now? I don't like that, and it keeps cropping up. It cropped up all over the place in Secret Hideout. Section 8. Yeah, Section 8. There you go. Okay.
I get that reference.
31. Yeah, it was okay.
No,
Section 31. Yeah. Okay, so I like Peter Weller. I like seeing him again.
Peter Weller also appear in, and maybe I'm mistaken, maybe it was a different actor, but didn't he also have a role in Star Trek Enterprise where he played the Terra Nova leader?
Yeah. Yeah, he was on Star Trek Enterprise too, and that's fine if they want to recast him again as a different part. I mean, he's a good actor.
Maybe they were related.
Maybe. I'm just saying. So, and he's actually Carol Marcus's father, and he wants Kirk to go do something about the Klingons. And
so I will say this about the Klingons. I really hated the change in the Klingons back then. Since I saw what Discovery did, though, I'm like, damn, this ain't so bad. And when you really look at what they're doing here, it's just a different head crest. There were plenty of different styles of head crests.
That's how I saw it. I could have worked with this.
I wasn't too keen on the piercings in the head, but I'm like, it's not like it's an evolutionary thing. It's entirely possible. Yeah. I did kind of like the alien-looking eyes. I would love to get contact lenses like that, if I'm truly honest. Didn't care for the fact that he doesn't have a beard or hair, but there could be an in-story reason for that, because some of the other Klingons did.
Yeah.
Plus, these ones past the penis nose.
Well, there's we've had a lot of Klingons with penis noses throughout fandom. Just saying.
But that one's really obvious.
Yeah.
Anyway, say hi to your Klingons and say goodbye because we never see them again. I have to tell you something.
True.
One of my excitements about the fact that they were going back to the Kirk era was that we would get to have Klingons as adversaries again.
Right, and they never made use of that.
And I get the reason for them moving on from that on TNG. It's time to move on. We're not going to be the enemies that we were, and they actually explain that in great detail. But I was kind of, okay, cool. I want to see Klingon battle cruisers and birds of prey shooting at Starfleet ships. We don't get that in this.
I also came to appreciate the uniforms, if you'd call them uniforms, that they were wearing. I do kind of like them, but then again, you can ask Mark Malnikoff. I'm kind of a clothes whore when it comes to being a Klingon. I like all the different uniforms, all the different styles, civilian, different eras, the whole kit and caboodle. I even came to kind of in time like their style of Batlet as well. Maybe it's just by comparison to the stupid shit that they had in Discovery. But one other thing that I'm going to say, and I'm not sure, it must show up in this movie. Do they have a bird of prey?
No,
Klingon bird of prey?
I don't think so. They might have had a battle cruiser. I don't remember because I'll be blunt. I have not watched this movie since seeing it in the theater. I have never wanted to go back to it.
I didn't see it in the theater, and but in Star Trek Online, the Kelvin era Klingon bird of prey is actually pretty cool. It is a better
in this.
It is a better interpretation of a TOS era bird of prey than their stupid JJ prize is to the Carney.
Yeah. Bird of Prey is my favorite Star Trek ship. Bird of Prey is my favorite spaceship, period, in any science fiction thing.
Yep.
I love that spaceship. The Klingons knew how to make ships, I'll say that for them.
Yep.
Moving on to, here we have our villain, who is... well, we don't know that yet, because he's some kind of Federation officer that's special ops that's going against... Some people were thinking this was going to be the psychic character from one of the earlier seasons. Wasn't there a guy on the Enterprise that got psychic powers and was a villain?
Yes, it was.
They thought that was who it was going to be. That was speculation.
That would have been neat. That would have been thoughtful. Yeah. No, they didn't do that.
And people thought, well, it's just an original villain, and that's fine too. And instead, no, it's Khan. And I remember reading early on that Benicio del Toro was originally going to be cast as the villain or cast in this movie, and then he opted out. And I think they were doing
Gary
that.
Mitchell, right? Yeah.
They wanted another Latin actor playing Khan, even though Khan is Sikh. But I thought that's what they were going to go for. So then they get Benedict Cumberbatch to play him, which is... He's nothing like Ricardo Montalban at all.
So, and this is exactly why I said this casting basically changes history before the Kelvin.
So
this is a divergence from history that goes back to the 1990s.
Okay. Part of me wants to say sometimes some of the reasons why certain villains work, it's because the actor playing them is that good. I don't think...
Yeah.
Khan is Ricardo Montalban.
I thought that a great casting would have been Antonio Banderas. Would have been an excellent.
He would have been good. Yeah, he would have hammed it up.
Tony Flax,
yes, that would have been good.
If they wanted to, I would not have been opposed to them going with someone who was a bit more dark-skinned, Middle Eastern.
Well, yeah,
I could have been okay with that. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe they could have given him a beard this time. I'm just saying.
Right.
But here, we went with Benedict Cumberbatch, who seemed to be showing up in everything around this time, and he's a good actor. Don't get me wrong. He's not,
and he makes a great villain. He just was playing a character that wasn't the character he should have been playing.
Haven't played anything else. Make a new villain. You can do that. It's okay. Yeah. I mean, when they said it was a Starfleet special ops guy that went rogue, that might have been an interesting
How cool would it have been
villain.
if it had been, who was the Irish asshole that Kirk went to the academy with from the episode Shore Leave? Was it Finnegan or something like that?
Yeah, that might have been interesting.
That would have been a great one, too.
Jason Momoa as Khan. Oh, please, no, that would have been a disaster. Don't put it past them. I'm sure they might have done that.
Yeah, because again, if you're going to be changing the race of the character, you might want to go more Sikh, than anything else.
So much wrong with this movie. And then it turns out that I guess Starfleet brought the eugenics, wanted to use the eugenics people in a proxy war against the Klingons by sending them on special ops things, which doesn't make a lot of sense. There's Karl Marcus again.
So that's another historical change, because after the 1990s and the eugenics war, eugenics was 100% outlawed in the Federation.
But Section 31
apparently now we're okay with it.
Section 31 can do what it wants because it's doing what the regular
because it's the deep state.
The whole point about Section 31 was that it was supposed to have remained hidden up until Deep Space Nine. Nobody knew about it. That's how good they were at covering their tracks. And there's this scene which
this was the best scene in all of JJ Prize.
And he apologized for it later, and he's like, "Well, that was wrong." I think this is around the time of the Me Too. Oh, we shouldn't have done that. We're sorry. This was gratuitous.
You shouldn't have done this whole series, you dumbass. This was the only good thing you did.
This is the one thing not to apologize for. Come on, this is in good taste as far as I'm concerned. But I don't know.
And I guarantee you that 30 years from now, she's going to look back at this and go, I'm glad I got a recording of myself looking like this.
Yes. Moving on to the Dreadnought class.
The Killer Prize.
This is so stupid. This was so stupid.
The USS Vengeance. So when I was in that club back in the late 80s, early 90s, we would try to create. We didn't want to do anything that would run afoul of canon. So you couldn't serve aboard the Enterprise. You couldn't serve aboard any ship that existed because, those were Paramount ships, and they could, blow them up in the next movie, and then you're kind of screwed. So we would try to create our own ships using similar naming conventions. We would say, okay, well, what kinds of ships are there out there? Okay, so we know there's Enterprise, there's Excelsior, Excalibur. Okay, we see where these ships came from. If you could find ships, in the British Navy and the American Navy, names of cities, names of rivers, this is how Federation ships are made. When someone suggested they wanted a ship called the USS Starkiller, we said, no, because that's not how the Federation names their ships, right?
That's how Section 31
and then we get
names its ships.
Then we get the USS Vengeance, and I'm like, I'm out, I'm done, screw this.
This is so stupid. This was so bad. And you did not see this in the theater. Were you avoiding this? Did you hear things that you... Yeah, that's what happened. I didn't.
I gave up on it. I saw the first movie, didn't care for where it was going, but was open to it. When I started hearing about this, I'm like, that's it. I'm done. I'm out. Khan, Magic Blood, tribbles that
I didn't know any of that going in, because I think I saw it opening weekend and I wasn't keeping abreast of what was going on, and I'm like, people think they're not gonna do Khan. I was like, oh, they did Khan. That's not smart, because it's not Ricardo Montalban, and it's not even an equivalent.
They also, I don't know if you have this coming up, but because it's Star Trek II, they did a complete reversal of Star Trek II, where instead of Spock dying and Kirk going out of his way in the next movie to bring him back, there you go.
This was so
It's
stupid.
the reverse. Kirk dies and Spock brings him back. From Deus Ex Machina.
So stupid. They missed the entire point. Kirk would have sacrificed himself. Kirk sacrifices in different ways than Spock did in Star Trek 3.
Yes.
Okay, and that's what I like about Star Trek 3. It shows that Kirk is willing to also make a personal sacrifice, but it's a different kind of sacrifice than what Spock did, which was giving his life. Just don't get me started. This was so dumb and so contrived. I hated it. And then he dies, and then of course...
Here's the other thing. Again, I didn't see this, so correct me if I'm misrepresenting it, but you yourself were pointing out how adversarial these two characters were, that they should be friends by this point, but they absolutely weren't. Any character development from the first movie that would have lent to them being colleagues and friends with respect for each other did not exist. They did not like each other. They were not friends. So why does Spock have this huge emotional reaction when...
Here's what I'll say about Kirk, and Kirk is being more generous to Spock than Spock is being to Kirk. Like, Kirk, I think, forgives Spock for tattling on him in the beginning, even though it was kind of obnoxious, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're right, this isn't earned, especially Spock. And then Spock has an emotional outburst and screams, "Khan!" and then jumps down to the surface of the planet and starts beating the crap out of Benedict Cumberbatch on a speeding monorail or something. I don't know. And it's just weird. And of course, both ships, I think, crash land on the Earth too. This happens too. I don't know if that's the Dreadnought, the Vengeance, or the Enterprise. It might have been both. And they're going into a city, I think, right?
Actually, I love this. Kirk sacrificed his life twice in Generations, and as bad as that was, it was a masterpiece compared to this. Yeah, I buy that.
That's saying a lot because I hated Generations, but yeah, that's a better film than this. Yeah, that's how bad this was. And let's see here though. So they crash in, and then I know that he's fighting. And prior to this, Benedict Cumberbatch basically crushes Peter Weller's head like a melon or something. You like hear the sound
because that's something that a Vulcan can do, I guess. Or was it? Did you say it was?
No, it was Khan doing it. It was Khan.
Okay, that actually makes sense. I could see.
And he does it in front of Carol Marcus, and I'm like, that would kind of scar someone for life if they saw their dad getting his head basically crushed in front of them.
Yup.
I'm just not like, why did they go there? Khan could have just maybe snapped his neck instead of just doing the squash it between his hands. This is what I don't.
Although
children writing these scripts,
this was a missed opportunity. If you wanted to go into darkness, if you want to live up to your title, and make the woman the hero, she sees her father killed by Khan. She turns around, grabs a phaser, vaporizes him. Done.
Yeah, nothing.
You don't
about
see that coming, do you?
Satisfied. It just, and I kept they kept hinting. I thought we were going to get a romance between her and Kirk, and it doesn't really materialize by the.
What's the whole point of even having her there then? Yeah.
I mean, maybe they were going to save her for the sequel.
These uniforms are stupid. I mean, they're fine uniforms. They are stupid Starfleet uniforms.
After this, this is their ceremony at the end, I guess, honoring the dead or whatever, and then we get it fades to black, and we get a this movie is dedicated to those who fought in the War on Terror, and I'm like, why are they bringing that into this? It's just this is a science fiction movie in the future, and then it ends, and then it's like, where do we go from here, as they would say on Buffy? Okay, or sing.
Yeah.
Anything left to say about Star Trek Into Darkness? Anyone?
No. Stupid. Stupid.
One of the worst sequels I'd ever seen up until Last Jedi. That was worse than this. That's saying a lot.
But then we got Star Trek Beyond.
Okay, I don't think this is as bad as Into Darkness. I don't think it's great, but I know
way less about it, I'll admit that.
Have you seen it?
No.
We won't spend too much time on it then. We're
good.
Okay, Simon Pegg, who plays Scotty, actually wrote the screenplay for this, and I think they were trying to get, in some ways, maybe right the ship a little bit. And from the premise, it was going to be Kirk and company get stranded on this planet, being run by an evil alien despot who I think wants to use the Enterprise, use something to do some bad things. Okay, and I'm fine with that. Actually, that sounds like a normal Star Trek type scenario. Kind of almost reminds me a little bit of the bad guy in Galaxy Quest, actually. So here we have Star Trek Beyond. Here they are back, and I thought this one would be more fun. I guess it was kind of more fun, but
And why are they ripping off the Orville for the uniform jackets? Seriously?
I don't know. Anyway, Star Trek Beyond the Pale.
Not wrong, Mark.
It was horrible, says Jonathan Conroy. Which one are you talking about, Vengeance or this? I do like this actress who plays the alien woman they find on the planet. I wish I knew her name. She also played the Mummy in the Tom Cruise movie. She's like a woman of, I would call her like a woman of 1,000 faces, like a female launch.
In a way, she's kind of cursed the way, what's his name? The guy that played Hellboy.
Yes.
And Vincent in Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah. She's
Ron Perlman?
Ron Perlman, yeah. Kind of like that. There's so many things, and you kind of recognize, that person in the makeup whose face you never see. Yeah, I kind of like them, but I have no idea what they look like under all that.
Semi Proctor says Star Trek Beyond is the only Star Trek movie I've seen in theaters. I remember it being okay. Sorry, I got lost. That
Here, let me just bring it up.
Okay. I remember it being okay. I'd have to rewatch it to really have proper opinions about it. Now that I've seen proper Star Trek.
That's not exactly a ringing endorsement, though. If you saw it, remember it was okay, but don't remember the details enough to talk about it now.
And I don't remember what it was about. Yeah,
that means it's not a very good movie. You know, if it doesn't stand out in your Trek and the Furious.
I saw Star Trek. What did I see in theaters? I think I saw Star Trek 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't think I saw Generations in the theater. I did see First Contact, and then I saw the other two, the Nemesis, and what was the other one? The Insurrection. I saw all those in theaters, yes. So, yeah. I didn't want to see Nemesis. I had a bad feeling about Nemesis before it came out.
But apparently I got to check out Atomic Blonde. She was in that. But I can probably pass.
Yes, she
on
was. I enjoyed Atomic Blonde, actually. Yes, that was a fun movie. Great soundtrack, Atomic Blonde. You get to hear Blue Monday, I think, in German in that movie. But let's see here. We go. Chris.
Was she the same race as that race that we saw at the beginning with the red trees and stuff?
No, she wasn't. No, here's what's interesting.
Black lines
here's what I liked about this movie. Like, this evil alien despot, he's ruling over other aliens, and I think they're like, and I think she's only one of one species, and there are others. I don't even know. Like she's kind of stuck there. Like the Federation hasn't run into her species yet. Okay, this is like a first time they run into her. She was interesting. She, I think when Kirk is playing the Beastie Boy, she goes, "Oh yes, I like the beats and the yelling." She said, like with the song. But here we have our villain. And this was
it's a car.
Funny, man.
It does. It looks like a car.
Well, it turns out that he's played by Idris Elba, but it turns out no, he actually is Idris Elba, a former Federation officer from the time period of Star Trek Enterprise, who got near this alien orb thing that changed his appearance because he wanted to use it or something. And I'm like, well, why didn't you just have Idris Elba playing an alien despot? So now he has to be a Federation officer that was somehow corrupted by this thing and turned into an alien, which doesn't make any sense to me.
Stupid.
They did that at the end. That's when this movie lost me. I'm like, and Uhura's figuring this out from some logs at like last minute. Like, it's like a mystery box that wasn't even stuck anywhere. It's like just that's him from the old footage they found, because it turns out he's from like the Captain Archer era, and they had even brought up how we fought the Xindi, we fought this. Of course, would he even have remembered fighting the Xindi if the timeline had gotten changed?
They're making this shit up as they go.
I'm just because
I just remember the conversation that Quentin Tarantino relayed about wanting to do Trek and not understanding it, and JJ says nobody understands it, just do whatever you want to do. I'm like, that pretty much explains what's going on with this whole JJ verse.
No, Tarantino got very angry because when he says you have to make it in this Kelvin verse, what do you mean? And he's like, because Tarantino followed not just original series but also TNG. Like, he was familiar with the whole plot thread. So he says, no, this doesn't make any sense. This other universe nonsense. I don't this Kelvin timeline. He didn't understand. He says, I'm not working with that. I'm not doing that. I'd say I'd rather watch any of these in the sequel trilogy. Yeah, well, they are better than the Star Wars sequel trilogy, but I think in some ways these were sort of paving the way for
I'll tell you what, they're bad, but at least they're not mean-spirited. They weren't going out of their way to anger and pick on the fans, which is exactly what Ruin Johnson did.
So there is something in this movie, though. Sulu, turns out that he has a husband in this movie, and they have a daughter together. And George Takei took great offense to this, because Simon Pegg, well, we're honoring George Takei because he's gay. And then George Takei says, that's true, but I never played Sulu as a gay man.
Right.
Yes. So
it was very clear that he liked women.
Yes.
That was very obvious. Yeah.
They kind of screwed that up. That was just dumb, and it's little things like that.
Yeah.
Well,
it's this ridiculous tokenization, right? It's like, if you want to make a character gay, that's fine. Don't make it an established character that's already been established as straight. You know, the fan films, the Star Trek Continues, made Kirk's nephew gay. Okay, that I could buy. There's nothing that says he wasn't, you know?
Right. There we go. Zoe Saldana.
I kind of like that as an optional uniform top.
No, I mean, yeah.
They should probably, do her collar up a little bit more. But
I wonder if this was a cold planet. That's why maybe they're heavier uniforms. I don't know.
Yeah, I like that idea.
First movie, flawed with potential. Second movie, a dumpster fire. Hot garbage. Third movie, mailed in because there's no saving this series. Yeah, it was kind of mailed in. I thought if they had just simplified it a little bit, just had it be evil alien despot, Kirk has to stop them. Plus, Kirk was almost sounding like he was middle-aged, like he was in Star Trek 2, where it's like, and it's like, do I want to
do this? Is the middle of his 5-year mission. He's not that old. Especially when you're the youngest captain in Federation history.
All right, and we're just going to end with this shot here. Last time we see Anton Yelkin, unfortunately, the actor died. Maybe shortly before this movie came out. I think the last movie he's officially in his green room. I always joke that if they had done another one, instead of having Chekhov there, they could have the weird alien with the long neck sitting there from the animated series. But anyway.
That would be the way to do it, is bring in Eric's. That's absolutely
right. That's what I would have done, and you could do that with new effects too. But
absolutely,
that basically wraps up Star Trek Beyond.
Yep,
it was okay. I'm gonna be kind and say it was okay. I had no desire to watch it again, but I didn't hate it like I did Into Darkness. So there.
But yes, Eric's exactly.
And Abrams didn't direct this movie. They got somebody else because he was busy with Star Wars at this point. Yeah.
He was busy ruining another franchise. So essentially what we have is the whole reason we're doing this, I called it a postmortem because we got confirmation there will not be a Star Trek 4. And the rights on it are lapsing. And again, when I'm talking rights, I mean, Bad Robot had the rights to do the Star Trek movies. And the way these rights work is if you don't get a movie made in a certain amount of time, those rights, you
lapse.
Lose them. Yeah, they lapse. They have lapsed now. He and the actors are not coming back. They've all gone on to other things. Sadly, Anton is, moved on to another plane of existence.
Do you realize at this point, if they were to have done another one, it would have had to have been Star Trek movie period with the more naval-style uniforms?
Yeah.
Because they're now older now. They're not the
it's
young,
that
young
far
crew
along.
now.
That's
Yes.
absolutely true. I've said this about the Kurtzman verse. And again, whether or not you want to tie some sort of story canon together is irrelevant. There are real world legal rights, and all of this JJ Bad Robot 20% different universe is owned by him and Bad Robot. They cannot do another story set in this universe without contracting with him. So it becomes non-canonized, uncanonized, however you want to put it. It can never be referenced again. Period. That's how this works. Kurtzman Trek, as long as he's still contracted, all of his stuff still canon. Until such time as perhaps Skydance decides, yeah, we don't want to work with you anymore. Once that happens, unless they shell out a crap ton of money for the completely worthless Kurtzman Trek, that gets decanonized too. It hasn't happened yet, but
Starfleet Academy with a female Jem'Hadar. For starters, a Jem'Hadar in the Federation.
An obese female Jem'Hadar.
For starters, a Jem'Hadar in the Federation is ridiculous on its face. But even so, Jem'Hadar said that there are no female Jem'Hadar. They're grown in. They were grown in test tubes. They made that, or whatever. They made that point on because Dax was saying this. Oh, maybe if you had, maybe that's why you're so uptight because there are no women in their lives or something. They're, because there are no women of their species. That was the point. They're not. They weren't like a. They were something the founders created, I believe.
Exactly.
Right?
They were a created species, and they couldn't reproduce naturally without the assistance of their gods, the founders, and they were literally controlled through drug addiction. If they didn't take Ketracel White, they would die.
All they lived for was battle, which was interesting because I remember when we were into the first Jem'Hadar.
Victory is life.
They really wanted to fight Klingons. They were excited about the prospect of going up against Klingons. I remember that. And then there's that wonderful scene where they're having the match between Worf and the Jem'Hadar lieutenant or whatever, right? And like they keep telling Worf, just stand down. There's no shame in it. The Klingons are saying this to him. And he says, no! And he keeps getting up, and the Jem'Hadar says, I can only kill this Klingon, but I cannot beat him. That's what he said, which
That's
I thought
true.
was interesting. Yes.
Yeah.
Like he was taken aback at Worf's veracity, just not giving up. So that's
actually, I had never thought of that before, Samuel Proctor, but that is 100% correct.
Yeah.
That is a very, very good analogy. Yes.
So, anyway, Kelvin timeline, are you gonna miss it?
No, I am glad it's gone.
You kept saying BS whenever these execs over at Paramount said we're doing Star Trek 4, and you said no, they're not.
Because I saw it happening. I saw it happening with Kathleen Kennedy over at Lucasfilm. They announce things, they get hyped for it, they try to get people to buy in, become producers. And when it doesn't happen, they go, okay, we've scrapped that idea, but now we're starting a new one. This one's happening, and they keep announcing and announcing and announcing. And it was even worse with Star Trek because you had these actors here coming and saying, "It's news to me. Nobody's approached me about it."
Which was also very, very dumb because then they can negotiate salaries higher, right? Because
exactly, and they're sitting there going, is it really happening? If you've announced not that a project is happening, you have announced that you've thought about doing a project that's, in your head. It's like the bomb that Lex Luthor thought of in his mind that, that didn't actually exist,
So rest in peace. Kelvin timeline, and it was a big waste of everyone's time. And I don't know what Paramount is planning for Star Trek in the future.
And it was also a huge waste of money. The toys did not sell. They were constant. You have a lot of channels now that go to Ollie's and show you all the Star Wars stuff, and all the other Disney stuff that's warming pegs at Ollie's. This film's merchandise was warming pegs at Ollie's long before. You could walk through Target and Walmart and see it all in the clearance aisle.
It's weird though. It is a relic from another age because this was not. They weren't thinking multiverse style storylines at this point. I'm sorry, not multiverse. What do we used to call the Marvel cinematic universes? They weren't thinking cinematic universe. They were thinking let's do a trilogy like they're doing with the Dark Knight trilogy. You kind of had the idea, and even with the sequel, they're like, well, who's the big nemesis for original Star Trek? It's Khan, so we save Khan for the sequel, which that's not really how Star Trek works. That's Khan.
In fact, what would have been a much more intelligent story
would have been something involving the Klingons. Yes.
Well, yes, but what I was going to say is just a little line about the USS, I don't know, Miranda or something, ran across an old DY-100 class ship out near the Mutara Nebula.
Yep.
Can you believe that?
Funny.
That's amazing. They towed it back to the Federation headquarters, and unfortunately, everyone in it was dead. That would have been a great alternate timeline story, and completely avoided all the con crap.
Well, here's another thing they could have done. There were other tyrants from the eugenics era that were worse than Khan. Like, Khan was bad, but apparently there were worse eugenics tyrants, and they could have had Cumberbatch be
Colonel
one of them.
Green.
Yeah, they could have had be one of them instead of it being Khan. But no, they didn't.
That would
want
have
to
been
do
even
that
better,
either.
actually. Yeah.
So this is where we are, and just no.
Yeah.
No. At least they didn't bring the Borg into it, right?
Yeah, not overtly. Like I said, there was the implied Borg technology in the Romulan ship, but nothing.
Where were they going with this, though? Because this is another problem with them. I have with them doing Star Trek shows in the past.
This is the problem with JJ Abrams. He has no plan. His whole mystery box is Fugazi.
Well, look at that trilogy. Rian Johnson's now too busy. Yes, because he's busy making his Knives Out things. That's the biggest burn, is that he escaped into Knives Out and is able to do those. And I guess they have their audience, because they do well enough. And so now he can ride off into the sunset doing these stupid mystery movies. And I'm just
are they really making money with those? Because
I think so.
It's got to be fairly niche.
I don't think they're expensive to make. Probably the most expensive thing is the casting. True. He has to cast a lot of.
But the cast that's in it is all these loony lefty circle jerkers that
I suppose, yeah,
want to prop him up because they're all part of the club.
It's sort of like the Ocean's movies where they get a big cast to be in them, and And apparently he wants to, I think it was originally supposed to be a trilogy, but I think he just keeps wanting to do them afterwards. As long as he can have Daniel Craig be in them, that's the only consistent actor he needs to have in them.
Yeah.
So.
And Daniel Craig has plenty of free time. What else is he doing now? So.
Yes. They never went back. They never brought him back for the Dragon Tattoo movies. That was supposed to be another series they were going to do, and then they kind of dropped that too. But oh well. I guess I should just watch the original.
Netta read all the books. Just read the books.
I read the first one. I need to read the other ones. Yeah.
Oh, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a good book series.
Yeah.
There's also a parody series that you, or is it just a single book?
I think it's a single book, but yeah, I have the
dragon with the girl tattoo.
Yeah,
funny,
and the names are similar, and it's hilarious. I'm only about a quarter way through, but it's great.
Okay. I'll look for it.
Anyway, so that's it. At least this long-suffering national nightmare is over. No more Kelvin universe.
Yeah.
One step closer to possibly salvaging Star Trek, which I honestly believe Skydance intends to do. We'll be bringing you more on that
But before that happens, Kurtzman Trek has to die.
It will. Yeah, that's the next step.
And we still have stuff coming out. We still have a couple more seasons, or one more season of Strange New Worlds. And
but keep in mind, these seasons, these are like, a handful of episodes that should all be one season, and they've split them up into 3 and 4 seasons to make it stretch as long as they can. Doesn't mean we're actually getting that many more episodes.
We have to be careful also of this proposed, which we don't even see at the Scott Bakula Captain Archer series, because we have to make sure it doesn't cement.
It doesn't happen under Kurtzman, yeah.
It doesn't happen or otherwise they're going to stick stuff in there and they're going to ruin. They're going to cement it in, so we don't want.
And
that.
I think that the folks at Skydance kind of already know that. But anyway, that's the retrospective and postmortem on the Kelvin timeline. Good riddance. Tomorrow night, of course, over on Netter's network, the gods must be crazy, because what do they need with a starship, right? And if you haven't seen that movie before, you're gonna love it. It's bizarre. The first time I saw it, I was like, how did I not know this movie existed? It's just crazy, but crazy good. I think you're gonna enjoy it. Of course, Sunday, Geeky Geezers. What do we got on the docket for Geeky Geezers?
What we have on the docket is I may actually be stuck in a position of actually defending Brie Larson from Grace Randolph, which I never thought this would happen. Because I you know what can I say? Times change, okay?
If she just pretties up her feet, she's going to be on the road to recovery, I think. Anyway. You don't know where to go with that one.
I don't know where to go with that one. I guess what I'm trying to say is, though, I will say this. I think that she has toned it down in recent years and is actually trying to be more responsible in how she acts around fans, whereas Grace Randolph is trying to stir crap up again. Because she was cast as the voice of Princess Rosalita in the Mario Galaxy movie. So, I don't know. We'll talk about it on Sunday. Yep. Again, believe it or not, I don't actually enjoy hating on celebrities. But when they do stupid things, I call them out. That's what happens. Okay, but yeah.
Good.
All right. Yeah, strange.
Monday night, I am opening up my members' night at the movies to the general public because it's Life Day. It is Life Day. And we are going to celebrate the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Star Wars Episode 4.5.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, it's.
You like Boba Fett? Any Boba Fett fans in the chat? You're going to get to see his first canonical appearance in Star Wars.
Yep.
Here. Well,
exactly.
Except for the prequel trilogy, I forgot. Well, the adult Boba Fett, anyway.
So hopefully you can join me for the Star Wars Holiday Special. Tuesday, the Dancing Men, the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. I got great responses on the inaugural episode of the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, so we'll just keep that going. That's Tuesday night. Right. And, of course, Thursday night, Netters Network. Don't know what's going on, but it's always fun hanging out with all of you. And that brings us around to next Friday. Boomer and I will be talking in the backdrop about what we'll be doing with that.
I have some ideas.
Every noontime Central, every weekday, Liquid Lunch. Love for you to, while you're on your lunch break, stop by and say hi.
Yep.
Sounds great.
Yep. And you're joining me on Monday, right?
I'll be there. Yes, I can't miss the holiday.
You've been there. You've been there for everyone so far. So
yes. It's an experience. That's all I'll say.
It is.
I've been there for everyone only because he forced me.
she's so tortured.
I know you only have imbibing on Fridays, but maybe you should make an exception for Life Day.
maybe. Yeah. I'm probably going to make some Osaka berry pudding. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's great stuff, man.
Yeah, man. But maybe a little blue milk too. Maybe that's
there. You go. Yeah, you got to have that to wash it down with.
But anyway, blink twice if you're being held hostage in that stream, says Samuel Proctor. There you go. Anyway, that's it. Boomer, any last thoughts, words? Wrap this up.
Kelvin verse sucks.
It does.
Okay.
It really does. Netter, last thoughts, last words?
Well, I want to thank all of our producers tonight who have so generously contributed to the stream tonight.
I'll go through them. We got gifted memberships, 2 gifted memberships from Ruby Hoove. We got a gifted membership from Geek Flag with Nate Knows. We had the celebration of 13 months of membership by Tim Hayes, 17 months by Connie Cleary, 11 months by the Clue Channel, and we got $5 super chats from CluuStudios. So thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all so very much. You know that this is Troy's full-time job now, so all of your support is so appreciative. And like Geek Flag will say in the chat, if you're planning on giving a super chat of $5 or more, gift a membership instead. It's the same cost.
It basically is the only advertising I get. If you can get another set of eyes on this channel, maybe they'll stick around, and maybe the audience grows. You know,
sounds like a plan.
Absolutely.
Because YouTube sure as heck doesn't share us out or support us in any way.
Yeah.
So.
And of course, on my channel, I have Tim Hayes as a member for 1 month, celebrating that.
Yeah.
But you know, you guys are Osmo. We appreciate you guys so very much. I mean, I don't even have the words to express it enough how much you are appreciated. But thank you all so very much for being here. Thank you for being a part of our family. And until next time, good night and God bless.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Everything they said, absolutely. Appreciation. Thanks for all you do. And Kurtzman Trek sucks. So, everybody, thank you so much, seriously, for hanging around with me and being the entry point to my weekend. My weekends are so much better because of all of you. Take care of yourselves. Remember to drink responsibly. You don't have to drink alcohol, but stay hydrated. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Good night, ladies.
Good night, sir.
Hit it, sweetheart.
The neon lights are fading, closing time is near. Whispers in the corners, secrets shared sincere. The bartender's polishing the final glass. Time slips away like moving through the grass. Last call for alcohol, make your dreams come true. One more round, friends, from me and you. Let's toast to the night, to the stories we've spun. Here's to the laughter and to what's begun. The shadows are dancing as we linger still. Every clink of a glass, a memory to distill. Beneath this smoky haze, our feelings they unfurl. A tapestry of whispers in this corner of the world. The jukebox serenades us with a final tune, crooning to the lonely and the lovers under the moon. With every soft note, the end draws ever near. But in this fleeting moment, there's nothing to fear. Last call for alcohol, make your dreams come true. One more round, friends, for me and you. Let's toast to the night, to the stories we've